Hello there and welcome to our Shield of the Sun video. So in this particular video, we're going to be continuing our series on Genesis. So we're going to be into Genesis and we're going to do our 11th video on it. So this, from here, you're going to go into Genesis chapter 6. So when you go into Genesis chapter 6, you're going to go into verse 13. And verse 13 tells us, "And God said unto Noah, The end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth." And in verse 12 we read, in the same chapter of 6, "And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth." And right before that, we read, "The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence." So to understand, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse as it went. You see, to understand, in the same chapter of 6, you read from verses 4 and onward, and even from 1 to 12, how worse it got. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. So to understand, when that is the case, when persons have imagined all these things that they manifest in their lives, matters only get worse and worse and worse. So in chapter 7, we read, "And the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation." So to understand, how do we know that Noah was righteous? Well, let's read that again. "Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation." And in chapter 6, in verse 8, we read this, "But Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord." And then in chapter 7, verse 1, we read, "For thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation." So before he let him go into the ark, it is letting us know that he was a righteous human being, that he didn't let in an evil man, to say evil-minded, that he just was an evil person, go on in the ark and be evil. He made sure that a righteous man went into the ark. He made sure that his righteousness was there, is reflected in his family too. So if he's saying that of Noah, then he's expecting that of his wife. He's expecting that of his 3 sons, and he's expecting that of the wives of his 3 sons as well. "Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female, of fowls also of the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all the earth." So this is him, doing the zoology with these animals and doing the matters of that. "For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. And every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth." So notice it says, every living substance that I have made. So to understand, this is about those who are made in the image of God, is what he is talking about. So we know that some of the giants lived after. There was even ruins and some material matter that remained as signs that there was a flood. But he is guaranteeing that every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. So to understand, from off the face of the earth, and if you have to think about the face of the earth for a second, where is it? It's in space. So the attack would come down from the universe right on space, right from the third heavens to space, and then go toward the round earth and devastate it. "And Noah did according unto all that the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. So to understand, he had his sons in the age that he had his sons, from what we understand. In chapter 5, it actually tells us, and in verse 30, and Lamech lived after he begot Noah 595 years, and begot sons and daughters. And all the days of Lamech were 777 and 70 years, and he died. And Noah was 500 years old, and Noah begot Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And then we read over here in verse 6 in chapter 7 of Genesis, and Noah was 600 years old when the flood of waters was upon the earth. And so that's pretty interesting. So he had these three sons very late in life. And we have to understand that from what the Bible already showed us with Adam and onward, that they had children before the children that are named as these specific children that would go on to become patriarchs of themselves and raise nations that would descend from them. And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with them into the ark because of the waters of the flood. So what we had to understand is that there was happenstances that were taking place on the earth before the initial flood hit. So from we understand, there was things happening to the environment of the planet, which was giving the planet the understanding that it was about to be destroyed. So how would that understanding come about? Since there is going to be a flood of waters, it's going to come from God. As God said, even I do bring a flood of waters. So therefore, now you got these incidences that are happening on the planet, which is giving Noah the sign that it's time to get into the ark. So therefore, there would have been things happening on the planet already, floodings and strange happenstances with ocean waters, or even with the air itself, causing things to happen on that planet, which would give this sign that this planet is going to get flooded and destroyed. Of clean beasts and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowls and of every living thing that creepeth upon the earth, there went in 2 and 2 unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 17th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were opened. So it's confirming what I'm saying. So first we had those environmental things happening to tell the world that a massive supernatural thing is going to happen, and it's going to come remotely, it's going to come with force, and it's going to come from the spiritual realm. The same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up. So to understand, the ocean, in the bottom of the ocean, you have what you call the foundation that is connected to the circuits of the firmament that flows through it. So the connection actually isn't immediate, but it's multidimensional and remote. So to understand, the great deep broken up, so the foundations broke up, and it left it vulnerable to those multidimensional spheres, which would have been spewing water right through the foundations, and then the foundations were breaking up and sogging up, which was causing the surfaces of the planets to drop into the waters and drop and sink and drop and sink. And the windows of heaven were open. So also from above, waters were falling too. So waters were falling from the third heavens, and they were spewing down onto the planet, which was causing now the planet to be swirled around into a drinking cup, causing all of these lands to start submerging as all the waters are filling it and drowning it and drowning it and drowning it. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. So that's the type of rain we're used to. As before, as explained, rain fell differently on the earth. But in this case, since the atmosphere is broken wide open, and the great deep is also broken wide open, and you have all this celestial, supernatural, heavenly, liquid-based elemental force overriding all of our natural, ordinary matter of the air and waters, this caused this unnatural rain to start pouring and pounding onto the earth. And next thing you know, it's raining really hard. And so this is the type of rain we're left with today. And the self same day, and also it rained like that 40 days and 40 nights, meaning it didn't stop. I mean, imagine that rain and it just doesn't stop. It's unreal. And the selfsame day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons with them into the ark, they and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they that went in male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. So before we explain further about that, I want to leave it at this video here to explain more about it. So to understand what happened with these waters is that they were supernaturally based. So the waters actually came down from heaven, pressed down on the universe, and then pressed toward the earth and dropped that way. And then there was waters that were flowing under the universe that came up through the interdimensional, multi-dimensional spheres, and remotely came and pushed itself through those spheres, came up the foundations of the planet, and it started to eat and consume large masses of land mass of the planet, and was sinking water, and was sinking lands, and sinking everybody, and sinking. And in verse 17 we read, and the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the earth increased and bare up the ark, and it was lifted up above the earth. So how this also was happening was that there was anti-gravity pressures that was pushing all the waters and everything up, helping the ark to be pushed further and further up. As the ark lifted, the waters lifted. So what happened is that since you had these waters at the base, eating through up into the cores and water pressing down on top, this was then overheating the planet, and then the gravity was also spinning the planet. So this would cause pressures to be exploding upward. So as these anti-gravity pressures were exploding upward and it was lifted up above the earth, the waters and everything else would have been pushing up and pushing up and pushing up. So this would have been like explosions of a massive, mind-boggling nature of things, just ba-bam, 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 ba-bam. And this is happening with the planet. So, to understand, there would have been rocks, there would have been debris, there would have been all of these things blowing upward and blowing upward and blowing upward. And then listen to this. And the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. So that means the waters banged all the way up there, and that sent all the debris shooting up there with all the gravity blowing out, and the gravity swirling and catching to electromagnetic fields across the star system, which would have then started wrecking the planet. So to understand, as things blow out, things travel, and things are smashing into all the places for which the waters originate from, and thus it will swirl across, its energies will swirl across the universe from this point to point of origin and back, and our planet would just be spinning and swirling all the energies as the planet is now being used to encapsulate and implode and explode those energies up and up and up and up as the ark is swirling and spinning and surviving it. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. So that's to say the sky got covered, leaving just a little bit of space so that, you can look out and see space. And thus we'll cover more in our next video. Join me in a prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our debts as we forgive those who are our debtors. Lead us not into temptation. Deliver us from evil. For thou art with us. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory forever and ever. In the name of Jesus Christ, the King of heaven. Amen. If you'd like to donate to Shield of the Sun, please do so using Cash App, the $ Shield of the Sun, spelled in small case letters closed together. You'd be very, very blessed to do so, to donate to a ministry that will take care of you. So please take care of the ministry, and God will take care of you, and always love you, and always appreciate you. God bless you, and I shall see you soon.